Namaste. On behalf of Project Self, United Consciousness, I, Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar, welcome all of you in this global celebration of United Consciousness, International Week of Peace. UNESCO in its constitution writes that war begins in the mind of the man. And that's why even the constructs and defenses of peace also needs to be built in the mind of the man. Peace is our birthright. Three kinds of peace. My peace with myself. Peace within me. Second, peace with the people around me. And third, peace on the planet and the world in general. But due to limited identities, it appears that peace on the planet is under great threat. Limited identities of fundamentalism of religion, intolerant thoughts, wealth divide, caste divide, divide on the basis of region, fanatic nationalism, status, color of skin, racism, casteism, divide on the basis of species, human beings consider themselves owner of all the species. Divide on the basis of gender, sex orientation, habitat even. Human beings consider themselves owner of the whole planet and leads to global warming. When this divide, because of these divides, peace which should naturally flow has to be established by forces of peacekeeping. And that's why 25 years ago in United Nations General Assembly, we all as a planet adopted a resolution for culture of peace. And today, we are also celebrating 76th year of Declaration of Human Rights for the people on the planet, where dignity, equality and justice is upholded. But it seems that we didn't improve our progress enough in that. We are seriously off track on Agenda 2030 we set for ourselves. 1 in 8 people globally is still suffering from mental disorder. Suicide is being the second leading cause of death among youth today. But still, global defense budget is twice of the global health budget. International disarmament expenditure is only 0.039% of the annual military expenditure in 2013. So United Nations alone can't do it. And that is why United Consciousness celebrates this United Nations International Day of Peace, which is a sincere attempt to raise the consciousness of the planet. Which could not be achieved by the stroke of pen or by the forces or by the resolutions can be achieved by the resolution of mankind, by rising consciousness of all. It is rising consciousness that before taking any action, I will ask 3 questions from myself. Question number 1, whether by this action will lead to uphold and sustain peace within me. Second, whether this action which I am taking will improve or sustain my peace with the people around. And third, whether the action I am taking will uphold or sustain the peace on the planet. Because peace is not only absence of conflict. At individual level, peace is the presence of the feeling of joy, serenity, dignity, hope, freedom in me. With other people, peace stands for joyful interpersonal relationships, based on love and equality, where I can see me in you, you in me, and us in all. Peace on the planet is also celebrating oneness and this diversity beyond limited divides. So every action which we take should end with disseminating more peace on the planet. In Sanskrit, peace is called Shanti. So peace within myself, peace with others, and peace in the world also. United Consciousness International Week of Peace celebration is one of the world's biggest celebration of United Nations International Day of Peace. This celebration begins on 14th of September, and this celebration will continue till 22nd of September with a hope that even if this event is over, the celebration of peace and happiness will continue resonating in everybody's life on the planet. In this program, life coaches, spiritual masters, academicians, public representatives, public servants, scientists, artists, bureaucrats, and all statesmen of repute are coming from different parts of the world, from all 6 continents of the world, because we stand together for a peaceful world. Dear friends, let's join hands together in saying, before we do anything and after we do anything, invoking the higher within and saying, Om Shanti, may there be peace within me. Om Shanti, may there be peace around me. Om Shanti, may there be peace on the planet, in the world. On behalf of Project Self, European Yoga Federation, Yoga Australia, Yoga Vidya Spiritual Council in Africa, AYT, and other important sister organizations of United Consciousness, I welcome all of you to join the celebration for the joy of life. Namaste.
Connect, bringing together European yoga teachers and establishing delegates and representatives for each country, considering the social differences in various countries and support the needs, equality regardless of gender, origin, sexual orientation, social class and religion, overcoming dogmatism, fundamentalism to promote universal understanding.
Bye.
Promote encouraging a yogic lifestyle and a holistic approach to life as a tool for physical and mental wellness, a more spiritually elevated, peaceful, happy and physically fit society.
Integrate and unify, integrating science and the art of yogic living, modern knowledges with ancient wisdoms for betterment of the world and global development. Recognizing, accepting and integrating the many different paths that lead to the same final goal, making sure that yoga will maintain its original purpose. Namaste.
Provide study of secular knowledge, philosophy and ancient text, Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutra and Veda. Study of techniques, modern developments in teaching techniques, incorporating scientific findings in medicine, psychology, etc. to guarantee a certain standard, an established graduation system to provide a minimum standard for yoga teachers training.
The Bhagavad Gita says, yoga is the journey of the self through the self to the self. Today, we are fortunate to welcome Swami Suryananda Saraswati ji from Italy. He is the creator and founder of the World Yoga and Ayurvedic Community, President of World Movement for Yoga and Ayurveda of the European Yoga Federation and the C.Y. Surya International School of Yoga and Ayurveda, Vice President of the International Yoga Federation of New Delhi, and a founding member of the European Ayurveda Association. He has been practicing and teaching yoga for 52 years. He has held courses in Italy, India, Greece, France, Spain, Switzerland, and many other countries. The result of years of experience gained in close contact with Indian psychophysical reality, with luminaries of Ayurvedic medical sciences and Eastern monks, and is often present in major congress as a speaker. He authored many books dedicated to yoga and Ayurveda. Kofi Annan has rightly said, "We may have different religions, different languages, different colored skins, but we all belong to one human race." So now let's welcome Swami Suryananda Saraswati ji.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste. Namaste.
Today, I welcome you in this grand celebration of International Week of Peace.
Thank you,
Swamiji,
sir.
this celebration would not have been possible at all without your blessings, your support, your guidance. Me as individual have always seen you as an elder brother and a guiding light. With European Yoga Federation, we feel so honored that we can conduct this program. From my bottom of heart, Swamiji, in presence of the whole world, with deepest of my heart, would like to thank you for always guiding us throughout this journey, Swamiji. I think if I would like to mention some person who will be the personification of peace in whole this event, I will certainly would like to take your name in that. Anybody who knows you gets filled with peace and love, which you bestow everybody unconditional. Thank you very much, Swamiji, for being here with us today. And thank you for the honor that with European Yoga Federation, we could conduct this event.
Dr. Vikram, thank you for these kind words. Good morning to everyone. First of all, please let me say that I feel honored to be able to express my thoughts at such an important event. I want to say, me too, a big thank to my brother, Dr. Vikram, for arranging it and giving me this great opportunity and for everything he is doing. And thank you to all the speakers and all the important people who will be here. And finally, I want to thank you all that will listen to me. Today, the title of my talk is this: Yoga as a path to spiritual enlightenment, bridging body, mind, and soul. Due to natural human limits, we are always led to consider certain aspects of the Constitution, such as the body, mind, and soul, as separate. Personally, I consider all these principles strictly joined or joinable in this type of practical experience that is our life. And this, among other things, is the main goal of yoga, as the word itself states. I have many times stated that for Samkhya, the old interpretation of nature, which, as everyone knows, is the basis of yoga and Ayurveda too. Only two will be the basic vital principles of the constitution. One of physical origin material and the other of a spiritual nature. The declared goal of yoga, I repeat, contained in the meaning of the word itself, will be to keep these two principles united in harmony and health. From the healthy union of these two principles, called Purusha and Prakriti in the Samkhya, a life with meaning and quality would arise. The first, as you know, the Purusha can be considered from a certain point of view the unexpressed cosmic spiritual energy. It is the seed devoid of both qualities and attributes. The impassible and immutable cosmic consciousness that in the microcosm we find reflected in the pure internal subject, cleaned up by identification with matter. The second Prakriti is the material cosmic energy, devoid of consciousness but active and dynamic. The object with which the subject mistakenly identifies. According to some schools, evil originates from the union of the two, since Prakriti would induce the Purusha to consider everything beautiful and internal that in truth would be painful and impermanent. In modern civilization, this is exactly what has happened. Man today suffering from identification, often only in the material aspect, has lost happiness and health. I consider the identification responsible for this modern and current pathology. One of the major causes that is leading men to lose contact with reality. Also, and above all, due to the type of nutrition that it takes through the senses. Without mental clarity and discriminative ability, he is becoming, moreover, easy prey of unscrupulous people who make him dependent on objects such as, to name a few as usual, the cell phone, the television, the car, but also many other commonly used objects. Common, with which I repeat, it tends to identify. When you suffer from this indisposition that I call identification, however, you easily become prey even to news and information. Healing can occur through more correct use of the senses and mind. In other words, in my opinion, man must learn to lead the mind to become less sensitive towards impressions that can come from outside. Which does not mean rejecting the object of the senses, but simply experiencing a different, more healthy and independent condition in the state of perception. This last path could lead him towards liberation and towards what I call healthy return home, by which I mean a return towards his essential or spiritual nature, toward himself, toward reality. I affirm that spirituality is something absolutely congenital and natural. I mean that is already with us from the moment of conception and birth. It is, however, present in life in general at all levels of existence. It is therefore not just a human characteristic. It is an integral part of this wonderful manifestation in which we find ourselves and of nature. To anyone who asks me how to encounter their spiritual side, I would reply that in the end, it is a simple path. It begins with the awakening of attention, which then transforms into awareness. And awareness inevitable leads to consciousness, which is one of the instruments of the self. The self, a drop of the universal spiritual ocean, is the most real and stable aspect of the constitution, Sat, which gives the living person consciousness, Chit, and is also made up of bliss, Ananda. Yoga is a science which, through the awakening of awareness, can lead those who practice it to rejoin their self, their spiritual nature, from which they can be enlightened. Thank you very much indeed. Namaste to all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, respected Swamiji. And you mentioned about the importance of having mental clarity and discriminative ability to discriminate between what is lower and what is higher. You rightly mentioned that man must train his mind to be independent of this material drama. I absolutely loved when you said, healthy return to home. Also, you concluded as yoga as a strong path towards our true identity as Sat, eternal, Chit, consciousness, Ananda, bliss. Being with you, listening to you, literally provide us in a state of Sat Chit Ananda. May I request you to stay back office in the back studio only, so that you and me together can welcome our beloved Sukadev ji for the speech. So just after the introduction of Sukadev ji, let's welcome him. Thank you.
Thank you to you.
I humbly thanks Swami Suryananda ji for teaching us and giving us useful tips. Thank you very much, Swami ji.
Sukadev Bretz is founder of Yoga Vidya. He knows how to transmit profound wisdom humorously. His special ability is to motivate yoga aspirants to practice intensely, to see higher meaning in daily experiences, and to bring more energy and heart into everyday life. Sukadev Bretz is the author of 10 books, among them commentaries on Yoga Sutra and Bhagavad Gita and the recently published Royal Path to Equanimity. He is quite active, spreading yoga via the internet in yoga videos and podcasts in English and German. Sukadev had spiritual experiences from childhood on. As a youngster, he was fascinated by the possibilities of the human mind and started with regular meditation as a teenager. He used to spend a few times several months in intense meditation and pranayama. In 1992, Sukadev founded Yoga Vidya, now one of the leading yoga movements in Europe. Yoga Vidya has 4 major ashrams, nearly 100 yoga centers, and 20,000 yoga teachers. Today, he lives in Germany, in Hornbach, Mainburg. Get inspiration and energy from this dynamic spiritual teacher. Please welcome Sukadev ji.
Namaste, Sukadev. Namaste.
Namaste, Sukadev ji. May I request Swami ji to welcome our beloved Sukadev ji.
Great pleasure to see you, Sukadev. How are you?
Well, wonderful being here at this wonderful International Week of Peace.
Sukadev ji, you are most welcome to talk about mindful and spiritual connection, how yoga enhances powerful living. So thank you very much, Sukadev ji. And thank you very much, Swami ji, to invite Sukadev ji for the talk. Over to you, Sukadev ji. All stage is yours.
Hari Om, Namaste, and warm greetings to everyone. I'm deeply honored to be here today, speaking at this United Consciousness online conclave for the International Week of Peace. This is a time when peace feels like a fragile treasure, and the world seems increasingly chaotic. We're reminded that the path to global harmony begins with each of us. True peace is not just the absence of conflict. It's a state of being that requires conscious cultivation in our hearts and mind. It's an honor to be part of this United Consciousness network. I'm serving on 2 boards of advisors and have participated in many of these conclaves. This initiative is powerful, bringing together so many dedicated individuals from across the globe. My deepest gratitude to Dr. Vikrantji and his entire team for organizing this International Week of Peace, which with such skill, heart, and love. Today, my theme is mindful and spiritual connection, how yoga enhances powerful living. The word yoga itself translates to union or connection. So yoga is not just a physical practice, as probably after listening to many speeches during this week, you all know it's a profound spiritual experience and a spiritual journey, spiritual practice. Through yoga, we connect with our deepest selves, with the people around us, and the vast universe. It is this spiritual connection, nurtured through mindfulness, that enhances our ability to live powerfully with intention and awareness in every moment. The theme for today's talk centers on 3 key words: mindfulness, spirituality, and connection. All 3 are deeply rooted in the ancient teachings of yoga, and all 3 are crucial for living a life of depth, of meaning, and power. Let's explore them in turn. First expression is mindfulness. Mindfulness is a term that has become widespread in recent years, and rightly so. But what does mindfulness really mean? And how can we integrate it more fully into our lives? There are different dimensions of mindfulness that we practice both in yoga and, of course, in our daily lives. First is observational mindfulness. You could also say equanimity. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, yoga samatvam uchyate. Yoga means equanimity of mind. And one method to get to this equanimity of mind is observational mindfulness. This is the practice of simply noticing things, people, and situations as they are, without immediate judgment, without reacting and without projecting our worries or desires onto them. It's about breaking the automatic stimulus response change that often drives us to anger, fear, anxiety, and so on. When we observe a situation with calm detachment, we gain clarity. And from this clarity, our power to respond wisely grows. Many situations are not as bad as they seem. It's just we reflect on them, we judge on them, and then we react prematurely. You might have some ache in your right shoulder and you think, oh, do I have rheumatism? What will happen? Will I not be able to move my arm anymore? Can't I write anymore? Will my profession be over? Can't I pay my bills anymore? All that just because some ache in your shoulder. Sometimes you just feel your shoulder and you just put your awareness there, you notice it, and the pain will go away, the tension goes away. Or somebody looks at you and it seems he doesn't look friendly. You might immediately come to the conclusion he doesn't like me, or I will lose my job, or there will become something extremely nasty. But if you just observe, and you might see, well, he's not in a bad mood to you, he might just have been in thought, or whatever. We jump to conclusions, we get into problems. And sometimes, of course, there are people around us who like to push buttons to make us overreact. If we learn observational mindfulness, we can learn not to be like machines, not to react on stimulus response mechanisms, but we get into calmness. And this inner calmness and this ability not to react automatically is so important to have a powerful living, a free living. One of the important practices in yoga, of course, is being where you are right now. One meditation technique is, for example, observing your breath. You might want to do it just now, listening to all these lectures. One moment, just sit there and feel the breath go in and out of your nostrils. When you inhale, your nostrils turn cool. When you exhale, they turn warm. Inhale, feel the coolness. Exhale, feel the warmth. Before me saying that, you are not aware of your nostrils and the temperature in your nostrils, but just putting your awareness to the breath coming in and out, mind gets calm. And so you have many techniques in yoga to develop this kind of observational mindfulness, body scan, the breath, and observing your thoughts and so on. Important practices in daily life to calm down. But mindfulness is not just calming down, and to tell you the truth, just to calm down can't be the meaning of life. It's one of the important resources you need to have an intensive, powerful life to be able to get into calmness. So the second kind of mindfulness is compassionate mindfulness. This type of mindfulness brings us into deeper connection with those around us. It is the practice of feeling into the heart of another person. It can be your partner, it can be a family member, a friend, or even a stranger. When we cultivate compassionate mindfulness, we become aware not just of our own emotions, but of the emotional world of others, without judging them immediately. Feel the other person, observe the other person, be aware of the other person. So many people are just concerned about themselves, their thoughts, their fears in the future, their hopes for the future, and what they want and how to reach it, but feeling others, becoming aware of others, that's something really powerful. That makes life wonderful. In the end, it's about love, kindness, and empathy. And now imagine if the ripple effect, if we all practiced compassionate mindfulness, conflicts could dissolve, misunderstandings would be minimized, and love could blossom there. Out of division comes united consciousness. Next aspect of mindfulness is mindful action. Do what you do consciously. A master was once asked, "What is the difference between a disciple and a master?" The master replied, "When the master eats, he eats. When he works, he works. When he meditates, he meditates." The disciple asked, "What's special about that? Doesn't everyone do that?" The master said, "No. The average person thinks about work when he or she eats, about the evening when he or she works, about works when he or she meditates. The master does whatever he does with full awareness." Conscious action, being fully present in every moment, leads to powerful living. When we bring mindfulness to our actions, we infuse them with intention, with focus and energy. This is where mastery truly begins. The last aspect of mindfulness, which I want to stress today, there are more, but let's stay with these, is intense mindfulness. If you focus your attention intensely on something without thinking about it, then you have an intense experience. You could say the conscious action and also the compassionate mindfulness already is the pre-step for intense mindfulness. If you focus on some person a little bit, then it's already compassionate mindfulness. If you try to feel the other person intensely, then deep love develops. This type of intense mindfulness is called samyama in the Yoga Sutra. When you practice samyama, then two things happen. You gain jaya and prajna, this means mastery and intuitive knowledge. This ability to concentrate intensely on something leads to powerful living. Yogis say, in the depth of your being, your Satchit Ananda being, consciousness and bliss. Intuition awakens through intense mindfulness. Joy awakens through intense mindfulness. You experience your true nature through intense mindfulness. So from time to time, practice intense mindfulness, intense concentration on a tree, on a murti, a divine symbol, or concentrate on your partner, or the depth of your heart, or intensely into all direction. So you can awaken to the joy and intuition that are already with you, and from this awakening begin to live with greater power, clarity and purpose. Second word I want to talk to is spirituality. And it's all going to overlap these concepts. But first, second important concept in my theme is spirituality. Spirituality is the deep conviction there is a higher reality. This reality can be experienced, not just believed in. Through mindfulness, especially through intense mindfulness, we experience the divine presence that permeates all things. Yoga offers us practical tools to access the spiritual dimension. Practices such as asana, pranayama, deep relaxation, meditation are designed to awaken not only mindfulness and relaxation, but also spiritual awareness. These practices help quiet the chatter of the mind, open the heart, and deepen our connection to the divine. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras, the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and other sacred texts, we find detailed techniques to experience the divine in the present moment. These scriptures remind us that the divine is not distant or inaccessible. It is here, now, waiting to be realized. So let's walk through life with awareness at every moment, at every breath. Let's walk through life with divine energy. That is what yoga invites us to experience spirituality, not as an abstract idea, but as a lived reality. The third word, connection. The final word in my theme is connection. As human beings, we intuitively know the importance of connection. When we feel disconnected, whether from ourselves, from others, or from nature, we suffer. But when we feel connected, we thrive. Connection is life's natural state, and yoga is the path that brings us back to it. Now, yoga means union. Each time we practice yoga or meditation, we can feel this connection. We can feel connected to the depth of our being, to the heart of those we love, to the natural world, and to the greater web of life. Keep going into your heart. Feel connected to the depth of your being. Feel the heart of your partner, of your child. Feel connected. When you go out into nature, take moments to expand your awareness in all directions. In this moment, we can feel connected to everyone involved in this event. Speakers, organizers, the technical team in the background, audience, everybody. We are connected across the world, a network of peace, of goodwill, of spirituality. In every moment, feel connected to everyone. When you wake up in the morning, feel connected. Before you go to sleep, at night, feel connected. We're a global network of peace, goodwill, of spirituality. Through mindfulness, spiritual practice, and a profound sense of connection, powerful living naturally arises. It's not something we force. It flows from within, from the realization that we're part of something greater. I will conclude by repeating Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. And while you listen, feel connected, feel spiritual awareness, be mindful of united consciousness. Om, Om, Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Bolo Satguru Shivananda Maharaj Ki Jai.
Thank you, respected Sukhdevji. So nicely you identified the key aspects of your talk. You mentioned about this mindfulness, spirituality, and connection in mindfulness. You mentioned that it is seeing people and situations as they are. You gave us some tips about breath observation, compassionate mindfulness, mindfulness in action, and intense mindfulness called Sayama. It was so nice, and you gave us that you can Sayam on people, divine symbols, and partners. You regarding spirituality, you mentioned it is the deep conviction in something which is higher, and you told some scriptures from which we can learn it. Regarding connection, you said that yoga leads to connection. That connection makes us thrive. So let's remain connected with all people, being nature in united consciousness. Thank you very much, respected Sukadevji. And can I request you to be backstage so that together we can welcome, along with respected Swamiji, Jadranko just after your speech. So if you can be here, we will, after this digital introduction, we will together welcome, along with Swamiji, our friend Jadranko. Thank you.
I humbly thank Shri Sukadev Ji for teaching us the practical yoga practices for attuning our mind, body and soul. Thank you very much. Mr. Jadranko Miklec from Croatia. He is Yogacharya, Yoga and Ayurvedic therapist, teacher of Transcendental Meditation and Maharishi's Vedic Science. Manoshadhi Bhishagacharya, a herbal scientist, president of Institute of Yoga and Ayurveda. He teaches yoga in Europe, America, India and China. He gained knowledge about yoga from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, A.G. Mohan, direct disciple of Shri T. Krishnacharya, Maharishi Swami Devmurti Yogacharya, Dr. Mukund Bhole. He wrote 6 books about yoga. Also, he has experience with the application of yoga and Ayurveda to sports, tennis, football, driver, judo, volleyball, etc. For teaching yoga, Jadranko is cooperating with Maharishi Academy for Vedashe Vincent Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, India, Bharatiya Vidyapeeth Deemed University, European Yoga Federation, and World Movement for Yoga and Ayurveda.
Namaste.
Om Shanti, Jadranko-ji. Great pleasure to see you.
Yes, dear Amadio-ji and Sukadev-ji and Vikram-ji, thank you very much for inviting me for this beautiful event for the peace, for creation of peace.
It's so wonderful that you're here and to have you speak with your wisdom of so many years of experience of practicing and teaching.
Indeed, Jadrankoji's speeches are really very deep, and nobody can listen his speech only once. Person has to listen it again to understand the depths he goes in. Jadrankoji, the topic of your speech today is the role of yoga in cultivating inner peace and spiritual awakening. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. And so this topic of this conference is eternal topic, how to achieve peace. And not only on a personal level, but on the global level, because in the history of mankind, we see that there was very short periods of peace. Most of the time, there were all the time some fightings and some wars. So how to achieve the peace? And this is the topic of yoga. As one ancient science, we cannot trace the time from where it started. It's very ancient and it's all the time here. And many masters were speaking the same message. And also, we can find that message in the teaching of Yoga Sutras of Maharishi Patanjali, where he says that the yoga as a method aim is to silence the activity of the field of individual consciousness. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. It means that the Chitta, the field of individual consciousness, with all its instruments through which consciousness is gaining experiences, the senses, the mind, the ego, and everything. So that all fields should become silent. That's why I would like to introduce that creation of inner silence is a prerequisite for spiritual awakening. And only spiritual awakening can bring the peace to the individuality, to the person, or to the society. So in that sense, that silence is needed, and yoga gives very practical methods how to achieve that silencing or transcending process of all activities in your consciousness. Why? Because now in our life, we are experiencing the different things in the life, and who is experiencing I? We say, I am thinking, I have my thoughts, my feelings, this kind of feelings, and my perception, and even relating everything to that I. But in the teaching of yoga, that I, which we are living after we are born on this planet Earth, we forget our true I when we are born, and then we are just in that ignorance, which yoga says avidya. Avidya means the ignorance about our true reality. And what we are living is wrong identity. And then from that avidya comes asmita, which is Patanjali mentioning as obstacle for a normal way of life and for peace. And that asmita means he defines when the seer, it means the subject, becomes identified with the process of seeing, then the asmita is created. So asmita is not the reality of life. The reality of life of our individual identity is ahamkara, as mentioned in the Sankhya sutras, in the teaching of the Maharishi Kapila. There he describes certain instruments of our individual life, and one instrument, the basic, is that ahamkara, or I am. But through that identification, that I am becomes I am that, and I am that, and then that I becomes covered with the content which it is perceiving, and losing insight into its true identity. So that asmita becomes the subject, which is experiencing everything, and then the other things are the objects. Now yoga says we need to stop all the objects related to the asmita, or that ego, which is perceiving everything and being involved in life as a chief subject. And then we need to stop all the activities, nirodha, and then reach the state in which that asmita will remain alone, not related to any more activity. It means the inner silence, complete inner silence. So this is the process which is called nirodha in the yoga, or the Patanjali is mentioning that state asmita samadhi, where the asmita or the ego is not related, not even to the experiencing ananda. It's beyond ananda samadhi, or related to any finer level of the experience related to the tanmatras, or the grosser level of experience is related to mahabhutas. So beyond vitarka vichara, ananda samadhi, reaching the asmita samadhi where the ego remains alone. Now what happens? This is called Maharishi Mahesh Yogi related this to the Vedic experience of the rishis, and he says this is the dirgha tamas state, prolonged darkness, nothingness. It's empty. It's beyond any. It's a total silence. And then what happens? That asmita, which was previously the subject in relation to some objects, now there are no more objects. Then the asmita becomes the object. And there is someone behind who is now aware of that I, that asmita, and that which is behind is my true I. And then this mirage of wrong identity is gone. And then there is opening to my real identity, to that self. And this is tada drashtuh. Only when all activities subside in our consciousness, when we reach that asmita samadhi, that state where there is all vrittis stopped, then tada drashtuh, then the real seer, swarupa avasthanam, becomes realizing its true identity. It's not anymore in the wrong identity. This asmita is lost, and it is actually coming back to the natural state of ahamkara, which realizes that it is reflection of the our self, true self, or Atman. It's an individual expression of the Atman. So in that sense, this is that inner spiritual awakening. And we can say this is the concept of being reborn. Being reborn means coming back to the life, coming back to realize your true self, to your true soul. Now you are 100% your soul. And you realize the nature of your soul, which is Satchitananda, which is within itself containing all the principles which are expressed as the principles of Yama and Niyama, and all the Sanatana Dharma is instantaneously awakened within you. And this gives you the feeling of complete inner peace, and through that realization, through that spiritual awakening. And then this inner peace is radiating to the surrounding because we are part of the cosmic mind, of the manas, of the collective mind. So whatever we realize, spiritual awakening within us is one, we can say, lamp lit in the darkness of the cosmic mind. We are bringing more light and more that quality and neutralizing all these negativities in the collective consciousness and contributing to the peace, first of the family and then the society and the whole world. So otherwise, and there is no other way, so we need to go beyond, we need to transcend, we need to come to the inner silence. And there, that self-realization as the only spiritual experience in a real sense can happen. And on that basis, then that inner peace is established with all its qualities. Otherwise, as we know, the asmita becomes the source of the raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, and everything, all the kleshas, all the 5 kleshas, they are going on and catching us in this vicious circle, and we can never find the peace when we are under the grip of all those kleshas. For example, the raga means desire. When the ego will be, we are searching for happiness and for the peace, but only if you fulfill desire, then you can feel some temporary peace. But it's not enough. It's not. It will not last long. Then again, unrest, because it's a mistake. Asmita is not true identity, and it can never be happy with whatever it is gaining. It will always be unhappy because it's not the true self. It's not our true reality. And the fake identity, you can never satisfy. That's why there is never-ending story of the desires, and thinking that we will gain some peace by achieving this. And then if you don't achieve, then you become angry, and then you develop dvesha, repulsion to the objects of desire, and hatred to the object of desire, and then the violence, and then the fear of existing and everything, and the stress comes. Abhinivesha is the basis of all psychosomatic diseases, because the fear for existence activates autonomous nervous system to react with the fight and flight reaction, which creates all the health problems and psychosomatic diseases. And there is no peace, no health, nothing. So especially when those kleshas come to the udara state. Udara means very strongly expressed in our life, and our wrong identity very strongly expressed. That ego becomes strong egoism, mada. So in the udara state, the asmita becomes mada, and then jealousy, matsalya, moha, illusion, anger, krodha, and there are 6. They mentioned the 6 big enemies, which are born within our consciousness and bringing us to the disaster and no peace in our life. And then those enemies, inner enemies, we are projecting to the others. And we create enemies around us, and we start fighting, and we start wars. There is no peace anywhere until we remove those enemies. Once Maharishi Mahesh Yogi when he was creating these big groups of the yogis to practice this creation of some positive influence in collective consciousness, then he said we don't need to kill the enemy. We need to kill the enemy in the enemy. And this is the enemy in the enemy is those inner enemies. So how we remove them? By reducing those clashes, by transcending, by going to the self-realization. Then we can, in a very concrete and real way, contribute to the world peace. Otherwise, if we don't have peace within us, if we don't have inner silence, then and inner awakening doesn't happen, then we are of no use for the world, whatever we can do in the world. So this is the most important task for every human being, to search deep in itself, to come back to itself, to be reborn, come to your true identity, get inner spiritual awakening and live that in your life. Then you will have peace and you will contribute to the world peace. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, respected Jadranko ji. And you went deep into yoga philosophy. You mentioned avidya, smita, and asmita samadhi, and you also mentioned dirgha tamas, and how when we are established in our swarupa, then we reach to right peace. Otherwise, abhinivesha, asmita leads to shat ripus, which takes away all the peace from the planet. Thank you very much. May I request you to be there online for some time so that we can. Yes?
Yes. After Dirgha Tamas, spiritual awakening is called Madhu Chandas. And this is what the Rishi Madhu Chandas described at the beginning of the Rig Veda of his experience of awakening and transmitting us the reality of life.
Thank you. Thank you very much. May you stay back here so that we can welcome our next guest, Andrey ji, with respected Swami ji also. So after this digital introduction, we'll welcome respected Andrey ji along with Swami ji. So you can stay back office for some time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Mr. Jadranko Miklec for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness. Thank you so much.
Andrey Lappa is one of the founders and leaders of the yoga community in Russia. Yoga master with a unique path and experience, who started his yoga practice and research in Soviet time when yoga and other oriental practices were forbidden. Andrey's school became the first official yoga school in USSR and Russia in 1983. He found a way to legalize yoga in Nizhny Novgorod region and played an important part in making yoga legal all over the country. In 1989, he founded the first yoga teachers training school in Russia, which in 2002 became the Academy of Traditional Systems of Healthcare and Human Development and got the license from Ministry of Education for yoga teachers training. He also was the first in Russia to work out yoga therapy educational courses, which were included in the curriculum in foremost medical higher education institutions. Vast experience in yoga, ancient and modern medicine, studying different philosophical and scientific systems enabled him to create a unique multi-level system called Yoga Lamp. It is based on the principles of classical yoga Patanjali, research of scientists, innovators, and original technologies and practices worked out by Andrey himself. The object of Yoga Lamp is to help modern human to govern himself and his own life, to give him effective technologies for self-exploration, self-healing, and self-development, which make him free and independent from different manipulators, political, ideological, commercial, to develop ecological consciousness, which helps us to overcome ecological crisis and save the planet. Welcome, Andrey ji.
Namaste.
Most welcome, Andrey ji, and whole European Yoga Federation is there to welcome you.
Thank you.
Thank you to be here.
Many
Я также
greetings.
рад вас видеть всех.
I'm also happy to see you all.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Andreyji, you are most welcome with your practical demonstration of yoga and to take us on the path of yoga on this during this celebration of International Yoga Day, International Day of Peace across the planet. Most welcome. Thank you.
Спасибо.
Peace, brothers and sisters.
Здравствуйте, друзья.
Namaste, dear friends.
Рад приветствовать вас на этом мероприятии, связанном с тем, что необходимо каждому человеку и планете, миру.
I'm happy to greet you on this event, which is about something that is necessary for every person, every human being, for planet and for the world.
И хочу вам представить практику асана мира.
And I'd like to represent a practice which is called the asana of peace.
Асана – это форма, в которой происходит акт йоги, в соединении с тем, что наполняет эту форму, с ее информационным содержимым разного уровня.
Asana is a form where the act of yoga takes place, when we connect with something that is inside this form, with its informational content of different levels.
Делая асану, большинство практиков соединяется с тем, что знает ум, и заполнение формы идет от ума, его потребностей и желаний.
When performing asana, the majority of practitioners connect with knowledge saved in the mind, and they feel this form basing on the mind, its needs and desires.
Чего, как правило, хочет ум?
And what does usually mind want?
Ум обычно хочет самоутверждения, но этот поиск самоутверждения скрыт под разными красивыми обертками, такими как достижение просветления, Бога или состояние, которое было описано кем-то в древних текстах и стало эталоном для последователей.
As a rule, mind seeks for self-affirmation, but this striving is hidden under various nice wrappers, such as achieving enlightenment, or reaching God, or obtaining a specific state, which was described in ancient tractates and became a standard for disciples.
Пережив эти эталонные состояния и продемонстрировав свои достижения другим, практикующие таким образом самоутверждаются.
Having experienced these reference states, practitioners demonstrate their achievement and assert themselves in this way.
Они ожидают похвалы и награды за свои труды на йогическом поприще, получают от товарищей по цеху новые имена, звания, статусы с соответствующими почестями и привилегиями.
They wait for a praise or reward for their accomplishments in the field of yoga, and they accept new titles, names, and statuses from their colleagues, along with honors and privileges.
Всего этого на самом деле хочет личность. Получить награду за проделанные усилия и время, потраченное на диктуемые умом цели.
This is what their personality really wants, to get a reward for the efforts and time which was spent for reaching goals dictated by the mind.
А цель – самоутверждение, значимость и принадлежность к элитарному обществу.
And the real purpose is self-affirmation, feeling of importance and belonging to a higher elite group.
К достижению этих целей и сводится практика асаны, если она управляется умом.
So the actual purpose of asana practice, when it's controlled by the mind, lies in reaching these goals.
Но скрытые, неосознанные практикующим истинные цели ума рано или поздно проявляются.
Even though these goals are hidden and the practitioner doesn't realize them, sooner or later they manifest themselves.
И когда это происходит, естественно, развертывается конфликт на психологическом и истинно духовном уровне, так как желание ума достигать, соревноваться с другими и бороться за правильное, утвержденное как стандарт, пагубно для души и духа и не несет истинного мира.
As soon as it happens, a conflict on psychological and truly spiritual levels unfolds, because the desire of mind to achieve, to compete, and to fight for something that was established as a standard is pernicious for the soul and spirit, and doesn't bring real peace.
А истинный мир состоит в сопричастности бесконечному, вневременному, не связанному с программами ума и личности, зараженной самоутверждением, достижением и соревнованием.
And true peace is about belonging to infinity and timelessness, which isn't related to the mind and personality, infected with programs of self-affirmation, achievement, competition.
Эти программы приводят к борьбе и конфликтам и являются внутренней причиной войн между людьми. Войн за привилегии, статусы, разного рода ресурсы.
These programs always lead to fighting and conflict and represent inner reasons of war between people, war for privileges, statuses, and resources.
Состояние истинного мира – это состояние махакал-йоги.
The state of true peace is the state of Mahakal Yoga.
Оно позволяет осознать действия мыслей, увидеть, что они несут меру времени и программируют реальность под себя, укладывая ее в доступные для понимания ума стандарты.
This state enables us to realize how our thoughts operate, how they create the measure of time and program our reality in their own way, placing the reality in limited standards, comprehensible for the mind.
Выполнение этих стандартов несет плоды в виде самоутверждения, принадлежности к чему-то статусному, высшему, элитарному, дающему привилегии, энергию в виде уважения и почитания ваших заслуг.
Accomplishment of these standards brings fruits, such as self-affirmation, feeling of belonging to something superior and privileged, or energy in form of other people's respect and honor.
Но это не приводит к цели йоги, познанию действительности, истины, которая ведет к освобождению.
But it doesn't bring us to the purpose of yoga, which lies in comprehension of the actuality and truth, which leads us to liberation.
Отбрасывание этих программ и отказ от игр ума открывает дорогу к состоянию вне времени, вне ума и пребыванию в глубочайшем покое и мире. И на фоне этого состояния совершаются естественные, правильные действия.
When we discard these programs and reject games of mind, we become able to obtain a state which is beyond the time and beyond the mind, the state of the deepest calm and peace. And having this state as a basis, we take natural actions, right actions.
Это и есть состояние махакал-йоги, без идей о мире и о том, как его достигать.
This is the state of Mahakal Yoga, where there are no ideas about peace and no reflection about how to achieve it.
Это есть сама природа мира, так как в ней нет ума, неминуемо порождающего конфликт своими идеями, которые соответствующим образом оформляют и направляют наши мысли и действия.
This is the very nature of peace, because there is no mind in it, as mind with its ideas inevitably produces conflicts, shaping and directing your thoughts and actions in a certain way.
Знание этого позволяет увидеть, какова настоящая цель вашей практики и направить ее к истине.
If you know this, you can see the real purpose of your practice and direct it to the truth.
Как перейти к практике асан, которая ведет к истине, а не эгоистическим целям ума?
How to start asana practice which leads to the truth instead of egoistic desires of mind.
Во многом такая практика начинается с осознания базового состояния, с которым вы входите в практику, с развлечения присутствия ума с его программой.
Mainly, such practice begins with realizing the state which you enter the practice with, your inner background, and also with discernment of the mind programs.
Это важный навык – уметь четко различать программы ума.
The ability to discern programs of the mind clearly is very important.
В йоге он называется вивека.
In yoga, it's called viveka.
Для этого нужно предварительно изучить содержимое своего ума, его ограниченные эго-желания, в основе которых самоутверждение.
Before you start practice, you have to study the content of your mind, its limited ego programs based on self-affirmation.
Когда вы осознаете их наличие, вы сможете разорвать с ними связь.
And when you realize their presence, you can break the connection with them.
Рассмотрим два способа, как это сделать, как перестать следовать программам действий, диктуемых умом.
Let's review two ways of practicing asana without following programs dictated by the mind.
Первый. Прибегнуть к помощи другого человека, мастера, способного взять на себя роль вашего ума в практике асаны.
The first way is ask another person for help. It can be a yoga master who has to take on the role of your mind.
Ваша задача при этом просто делать движения, которые вам предлагает мастер, и наблюдать, как тело принимает те или иные формы, не следуя указаниям вашего ума.
Your task is to perform movements which the master offers, and to watch how your body takes different shapes without following instructions coming from the mind.
Так происходит двигательная медитация.
This is how meditation in movement can be done.
В ней важно различать, как ум вмешивается в вашу практику, проявляя привычные способы и алгоритмы действий, в основе которых программы достижения, сравнения, соревнований.
It is important to notice how mind interferes in your practice, showing its usual algorithms and ways of acting, based on the programs of achievement, comparison and competition.
И ваша задача останавливать эту деятельность ума, возвращая внимание в само действие, в движение.
And your task is to stop this activity, bringing your attention back to the action itself, into the movement of your body.
Эту практику медитативных движений мы сделаем в воскресенье, в заключительный день этой конференции.
We will practice these meditation movements on Sunday, on the final day of this conference.
Второй способ – это следование спонтанному потоку проявленной сути, имеющей соединение с истинной, действительностью.
The second way is to stop mental programs, is to follow the spontaneous flow of the manifested essence, which is connected with truth or actuality.
Сейчас мы попробуем сделать это и получить состояние вне времени, состояние махакал-йоги.
And now we'll try to do this and to get into the state of timeless, the state of Mahakal Yoga.
Сядьте в удобную позу.
Sit in a comfortable position.
Переведите свое внимание на телесные ощущения, проявляемые асаной.
Direct all your attention to sensation manifested by the asana.
Созерцайте весь объем ощущений в ней.
Contemplate all the volume of sensations in your body.
С помощью различающего внимания, вивики, отслеживайте работу ума, какие программы запускаются во время практики. Стремление к стандартному выполнению позы с достижением результата. Сравнение. Старайтесь превзойти, поставить рекорд. Старание превзойти, поставить рекорд для себя и для других.
Using discerning attention or viveka, watch how your mind operates, which program manifests themselves during the practice. Striving to perform a standard pose and achieve a certain result, comparison, attempts to outperform others or set a record.
Эти программы развивают эго-тенденции, значимость, самоутверждение.
These programs develop ego tendencies, such as importance and self-affirmation.
Осознав эту игру ума и связь с этими программами, которая поддерживается вашим вниманием волей, разорвите эту связь, переводя внимание на состояние вне времени, бесконечности, в котором естественно пребывает ваша истинная природа, сутьевая основа вашего существа.
As soon as you realize this game of mind and your connection with these programs provided by your attention and will, break this connection, moving your attention to the state of infinity and timelessness, where your true nature and the essential basis of your being naturally abides.
Это можно назвать состоянием здесь и сейчас, где мысли растворены, и ум пребывает в тишине и покое, без мыслей, и останавливается время.
This state can be called presence here and now, when the thoughts are dissolved and mind abides in calmness and peace, and the time stops.
И это состояние можно использовать как базовое для практики и совершения других действий.
And such state can be used as a basic background state for yoga practice or other activities.
Спасибо за участие.
Thank you for participating.
Продолжим эту тему в воскресенье 22 сентября утром в 6:30 по европейскому времени, в 7:30 по московскому.
We'll continue this topic on Sunday, 22nd of September, 6:30 European time and 7:30 Moscow time.
Жду вас на своей практике.
Looking forward to see you on the class.
Благодарю.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Andrey, and glad that you mentioned that the topic will be continued so that people can follow you further. Thank you very much. May I request you to stay back here along with Swamiji to welcome our chief guest today. Our chief guest today is Ambassador Virendra Gupta ji. So just after his formal introduction, please join me for his welcoming.
On behalf of United Consciousness team, we would like to thank Andrey ji for sharing his views and experiences in the journey of yoga.
I feel highly honored to welcome and introduce Ambassador Virendra Gupta, retired as a diplomat in 2016 after completing 37 years with the Indian Foreign Services. He served as India's High Commissioner in Tanzania, Trinidad and Tobago, and finally South Africa. He also served as Deputy Director General of India's largest security studies think tank, the Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis, and as Director General of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations. He is currently associated with a number of non-governmental organizations and think tanks and takes an active interest in international relations and public policy issues. As President of well-known NGO Antar Rashtriya Sahyog Parishad, he is particularly focused on Indian diaspora and neighborhood issues. He has edited several books including Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Untold Story, India's Neighborhood Challenges Ahead, and Energy Security Asia Pacific Perspective, and has contributed chapters in various books including a recent publication, The Modi Doctrine, New Paradigm in India's Foreign Policy. He has been regularly writing on topical issues in various prestigious newspapers and magazines. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and put your hands together for Ambassador Virendra Gupta.
Most welcome, Ambassador Shri Virendra Gupta ji. Let me introduce you with everybody, Gupta ji. We have President of European Yoga Federation, Amandio Bilacci from Italy, welcoming you.
We are honored for your presence here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
We have Professor Vijay Reddy ji, President of Project Self USA, welcoming you, Virendra Gupta ji.
Namaskar.
Namaste. Namaste, Virendra. Pleased to meet you.
We have Andrey ji, who just spoke from Russia, welcoming you.
Приветствую вас, мира, радости, удачи.
My greetings and wishing for peace and love and joy.
We have Amandio ji from Portugal, welcoming you.
Namaste.
Namaskar.
Yes, friends, Dr. Vikrant, Matthew, namaste. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So, stage is all yours, respected Virendra Gupta ji. We all are so much eager to listen to you. All yours. Thank you.
Dr. Tomar and all the wonderful people that I've met online today. I think you all are doing wonderful work in terms of promoting India's goodwill, India's cultural heritage, which you're carrying forward. Nobody has any monopoly on what India's culture is, and I'm glad to see people from different multiracial backgrounds engaged in promoting yoga and other important cultural attributes of India. So first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar, his organization United Consciousness, with whom I had an honor and privilege to work very closely during the G20 days of India's presidency. We were together part of the Civil Society 20. I'd also like to thank European Yoga Federation, which is actually hosting this event, for inviting me to share a few thoughts on Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam and how, in practical terms, we all, when we talk about Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, we get swayed into discussing the moral imperatives. But, international relations is not run by moral imperatives. It is the practical considerations which have to be looked at. Now, this term came into focus on the international relations stage during India's presidency of G20, because Prime Minister Modi, in his wisdom, he made this an underlying theme of India's G20 presidency. But in India, we have known this part of the aspect of the philosophy. It's actually an integral part of Hindu philosophy. Our eternal thought process, which is sometimes reflected in our pluralism, in our tolerance, in our acceptance of each other. I think a verse in Maha Upanishad talks about this philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, basically signifying that the whole world is one family. It underlines that the oneness of this universe, and that we are interconnected and interdependent. Now, that is not rocket science. Everybody can understand it. Now, what has happened is that we've had a lot of technical advances. We've now, materially a much better living condition than what it was earlier. But it hasn't changed very much in terms of peace and harmony in the world. As it was earlier, the more powerful people, the more powerful countries, they remain engaged. They remain inclined to exploit and dominate the weaker people. We have battled with conventional narratives of power balance. This is what we understand very well in international relations. And even now, a lot of people tend to explain things in terms of power balance. an American professor gave the theory of clash of civilizations. And I think it seems to me sometimes that as if we want to, make it come true. Even if there are indications, even if there are signals which point to the contrary, contrary thinking, we want to ignore it. Now, all of it has not led to any solution of conflicts. In fact, if anything, we have more conflicts today than what it was every year. In fact, succeedingly, we leading into more conflicts. We're leading into a more tense world. So I think all of this points out to an imperative need to search for alternative narrative. And I think Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam points to a possible approach. Now, I'm not saying that that is the only approach. I'm also not saying that that is something that will undoubtedly work. But I think since our current theories, current approaches have not led us anywhere, I think there is merit in giving this alternative approach an opportunity. Now, one thing I would also clarify is that a lot of people in India begin to think that this is something very unique to Indian culture. And I think that is not true at all, because in many different cultures, this thought you find very inherent, and different people at different points of time in different geographies have thought about this approach as being possible to leading to greater peace and harmony. I was in South Africa for a few years, and in fact, I came across the philosophy of Ubuntu there, which basically translates to I am because you are. So my existence is dependent upon your existence, and I think that basically signifies interdependence, and that my good is inherent in your own good. So I think we have to give it a serious thought. Now, there is a misconception in India and worldwide, is that a lot of people seem to think that this Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which basically means that the whole world is one family, is that you only have to work for the good of the others and the good of the universe, and that somehow pursuing self-interest or pursuing national interest is a very dirty trait, is an unacceptable trait. Now, I'd like to clarify that self-interest is, when you talk in terms of a human being, an individual, self-interest is essentially a basic human instinct. It's a basic human instinct for self-preservation. Now, if you don't look after yourself, nobody else is going to look after yours. And by that logic, if self-interest is not a dirty word, then national interest is also not a dirty word. So I think all countries can be reasonably expected to pursue their national interest. But I think the point of difference comes here is that the national interest does not have to be, in the same manner that self-interest does not have to be pursued in a very narrow and rigid framework, that you have to be broad-minded. You have to understand it in the perspective of a very, very broad framework, and not just broad framework, but also a longer term time frame. And if you begin to look at things in the broader context, in the broader framework, in the broader perspective, and also in terms of longer time frame, then I think things will begin to clarify very easily that there is no contradiction between self-interest or national interest and the broader good of everybody, broader good of all the nations, broader good of the universe and the world. Now, I can give you many examples. Take, for instance, nuclear weapons. Now, nuclear weapons, a stockpile has been kept by many countries, essentially with a view to it's a currency of power, but more than the currency of power, it is a means to securing, national security. That you have nuclear weapons so that you will not be attacked by other countries. You will be able to defend yourself. I think those countries which have nuclear weapons forget that this is a technology which is essentially today a textbook technology. Any country can develop nuclear weapons. And if more and more countries have nuclear weapons, then this world is going to be inherently very, very unsafe. And if there is nuclear detonation in Pakistan, then India is not safe because nuclear radiation knows no political boundary. So I think, if you extend that logic, very clearly, the world is safer and my country is safer if there are no nuclear weapons in the world. And yet, look at, how, absence of wisdom in the mankind is that nobody is giving it any serious thought. Countries are not prepared to discuss nuclear disarmament. The countries which have nuclear weapons want to keep nuclear weapons, and they want to prevent other countries from acquiring nuclear weapons at any cost, and they know that it's a losing battle. Successively, you have more and more countries acquiring nuclear weapons. Climate change is another very good example that unless you take care of the climate, unless you take care of the ecology of the world, you are not going to benefit. Because if there is an ozone layer depletion and if there is global warming, it is going to affect the entire world. So no matter how developed you are, but unless you deal with these problems which are facing the world, so what nations have to not only do things for themselves, but nations have to fix things for the world, and they have to act in the broader interest of the international community, the whole world, and their own interest is inherent in the overall good. International terrorism, epidemics, we've seen epidemics, the whole world was battered by COVID-19. And at that time, could any country take a view that, look, we will only secure corona in our own country? What about corona across the border? If we somehow get rid of the coronavirus in our own country, and there is corona left in Nepal or Bangladesh, would it not travel back to India? So the point is that there are so many of these difficult areas, difficult issues where it is very clear that we have to act in a broader context. And I have to give you one more example and look at how the broader time frame. We all know that how the conditions were in Afghanistan when it was under Soviet occupation. The big countries were driven by Cold War mentality. America's biggest imperative at that time was to get Soviet Union out of Afghanistan. They tried many means, military means. They exerted all kinds of pressure, didn't work. So what they did, they took the help of Islamic radicals and created a very radical Islamic movement, organizations, provided them funding, provided them arms, and that eventually led to expulsion of the Soviets from Afghanistan. But then those very forces went after the American interest. And I think the biggest tragedy to have ever struck America was caused by those elements. We all know what happened on 11th September 2001. And I don't think that America would wish anything like that to be repeated. So what I'm saying is that you have to look at things in a broader perspective. And when you begin to look at things in broader perspective, we suddenly realize that our good, our interests are not served by merely pursuing our national interest in a narrow perspective, but by also looking at the welfare of the others. Because in the global good, in the community's good, is our good is inherent in that. So I think it is quite clear to me that if we are looking at ushering in harmony and peace in the world, we will have to give up the conventional theories and conventional approaches. Matching force to force, creating a balance of power, rapid acquisition of military hardware, nuclear weapons is not going to lead peace, is not going to lead to harmony, is not going to lead to prosperity and development. And I think, that you have to accept the development of others. And in the development of others lies our broad interest. So with these few words, I'd like to once again thank Dr. Tomar for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It is heartwarming listening to you. It's a speech by a statesman. And I think you brought practical dimensions, which is more contemporary to yoga. And you gave emphasis to the importance of our common good. You started your speech with power dynamics in the world. You mentioned, then you went to Africa, where you said that Ubuntu is I am because of you. Then you gave emphasis to what is yoga in the world. My good and your good is one. You said that my good is inherent in your good. You mentioned that self-interest and national interest are important things, but they should never be defined in narrow dimensions. You gave emphasis to the broad definition of goodness, like largest goodness to the biggest number of people. You gave example of nuclear disarmament, climate change, corona, and geopolitical situation happened in Afghanistan and USSR and USA, and the impact of it in the times to came. So thank you very much, respected Virendra Gupta ji. May I request President European Yoga Federation to extend few words of thanks to him.
I only want to thank you from my heart for these very nice words that you spend for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I request President Project Self USA to extend few words of thank and gratitude towards our chief guest.
Sure. Namaste, Virendra ji. And in such a small time, 10 minutes, you covered such a broad topic and put it into perspective. That's a tremendous that is. Thank you so much for your words. Yeah.
Thank you.
We acknowledge presence of Marco Bianco also. He has also joined, thanking you from Croatia, Virendra Gupta ji. Amandio ji is also extending his thanks. And Andrey ji is also extending his thanks to you. So 3 continents together thanking you, Virendra Gupta ji, for being here today. May I request that before you sign out, we have created a small video for United Consciousness, which is only 1-minute video. Before you sign out, if you can just give us a little bit of attention to that video, the effort made by the creator will be paid off. And then you can sign off for your further work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Pranam.
Welcome to United Consciousness, where one consciousness, one being, is more than just a belief. It's a movement, a global initiative that unites us all in the pursuit of peace, spiritual wisdom, and universal happiness. It's a global mission that's touching life across continents. If you have ever felt the need for connection, spiritual guidance, or just a sense of belonging, you are in the right place. Welcome to United Consciousness. United Consciousness is not just an organization. It's a living, breathing community dedicated to enhance the holistic well-being of over 3 lakh individuals worldwide. Our mission is simple yet profound. One consciousness, one being. We believe that by connecting with our higher selves and each other, we can live lives filled with purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. Together, we are building a global community that shares this vision, helping each other unlock our full potential. Our logo says it all. The lotus symbolizes enlightenment, peace, and infinite universal consciousness. The petals represent all beings in the universe, interconnected and overlapping, signifying our togetherness. And that white essence in the center, it's the one source from which all beings originated. Every detail carries meaning right down to the 14 petals, which reminds us to transcend our limited identities. And speaking of transcendenting identities, our vision aligns perfectly with the global movement of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. With the presence in over 100 countries, our reach is global. We are not just spreading a message, we are creating a cohesive network of individuals and organizations working together to eliminate limited identities and promote peace and happiness across the planet. But what does joining United Consciousness means to you? It means gaining access to tools and resources that will help you build mental resilience, overcome stress, depression, and anxiety, and elevate your spiritual journey. And that's just the beginning. Our live question and answer sessions with the world-renowned speakers provide you with the opportunity to get all your life questions answered, whether you are seeking spiritual upliftment, emotional intelligence, or simply a community that stands and supports you. United Consciousness is here to help you thrive in this complex world. So why wait? Join us on this transformative journey. Let's create a world where peace and happiness are not just distant ideals, but a tangible reality we can all experience here and now. United consciousness, one being, together we can make the difference. On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ambassador Virendra Gupta for coming on to the platform of United Consciousness and sharing his views. Thank you so much. In the wake of the global health pandemic, the ancient practice of yoga offers a holistic response to physical, mental, and emotional challenges. By integrating breathwork, mindfulness, and movement, yoga promotes balance and resilience, helping individuals cope with anxiety, stress, and uncertainty. This approach not only strengthens the immune system but also nurtures emotional well-being, providing a comprehensive framework for navigating personal and collective health crises with inner peace and strength. So, ladies and gentlemen, today our panel discussion will be on the topic Holistic Well-Being, a yogic response to the global health pandemic.
Marko Biancu. Marko is the advisor for Croatia at the European Yoga Council, member of European Yoga Federation, and international advisor of the World Yoga Council. He first meets Eastern philosophies in the mid-80s, and since then, in his rich life experience, he had the opportunity to meet and work with many great teachers from many different traditions. Marko received his education in yoga from Carlo Patrian, a teacher who, after spending many years in India in contact with the most renowned yoga teachers of the 19th and 20th centuries, received the honorary title of Yoga Ratna and was the first person who brought yoga to Italy in the late 50s. Marko, after several years of study in direct contact with his teacher and mentor Carlo, received the diploma of yoga teacher in Milan at Carlo's Instituto Yoga. Marko traveled all around the world, from Middle East to India, from Africa to America, and throughout his researches, he came into contact with a variety of styles and traditions, such as Iyengar Yoga, Shivananda Yoga, and his favorite, Ashtanga Vinayasa Yoga. Marko moved to Croatia in 2005, where he was invited to teach at Nava Yoga Center as a senior teacher. At Nava, he developed the first Croatian training program for yoga teachers according to the high international standards of European Yoga Federation, Yoga Alliance, and International Yoga Federation. Later, in 2007, at Sangha Yoga Center, he worked as co-director of the studio and as director of Gaya Yoga Teacher Training. In early 2012, he opened the Pink Elephant Yoga House with his wife Petra, and with her, created a new program for yoga teachers called Pink Elephant Yoga Institute. The institute is registered by the European Yoga Federation and recognized by World Movement for Yoga and Ayurveda and World Yoga and Ayurveda Community. Marko is often invited to teach as a guest teacher in many different countries. He constantly collaborates with many teachers and in particularly with Swami Suryananda, also known as Mario Bianchi, with whom he is bounded by a profound respect and a long-term friendship. Welcome, Marko-ji.
Welcome our next panelist, Professor Andrey Lappa from Brazil. In cities, he started practicing yoga. He is founder of several associations of yoga and other asanas. He is a founding member of several Ayurvedic institutions in Portugal. In 2003, he got training in Ayurveda under the guidance of Dr. Jules Ruge. He participates in the preparation of meetings of the EYF in Germany, being the founding member. He exercises the clinical practices of Ayurveda in various centers.
It is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Giza Franceschelli. She is a yoga teacher and trainer with over 40 years of experience. She began practicing yoga at the age of 14 and has taught children and adolescents since 2004. She has taught at various schools including ASD Sattva Yoga, Ostia, and the Socio Health Institute of Rome. She has also published articles on yoga in schools and contributed to Master Amadeo Bianchi's book, Learning from the Past, Living the Present, and Preparing for the Future. She has also participated in various yoga festivals, Rome and Sister Nino. She has also participated in conferences on yoga and Ayurveda, health and wellness, philosophy, science, and psychotherapy. So please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Giza Franceschelli.
It's my privilege to welcome and introduce Mr. Vijay Reddy, a distinguished professional in pharmaceutical research, drug discovery and development, currently serving as the Senior Director at QuantX Biosciences in Princeton, New Jersey. His expertise in organic chemistry is backed by a PhD from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Beyond his scientific achievements, he has been a dedicated student of Advaita Vedanta for over 20 years, studying under the guidance of Swami Tatmanananda, and other esteemed teachers. As the president of Project Self, he demonstrates a deep commitment to both his professional field and spiritual growth, exemplifying leadership and intellectual curiosity in all his endeavors. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Vijay Reddy. Today's panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. Vikrant Singh Tobar, convener United Consciousness. Dr. Tomer is an acknowledged trainer, academician, scholar, writer, and a management consultant. He's a freelance trainer and served the cabinet ministers of state, MLAs, police officers, and tycoons of the business world. His aim and objective is universal brotherhood and happiness through harmonizing the knowledge from the ancient scriptures into our lives. So I welcome all our guests for panel discussion.
Most welcome, honorable guests. We acknowledge your presence, Dr. Vijay Reddy ji. Thank you very much for being here from US. We acknowledge your presence, Professor Amandio ji from Portugal. We acknowledge your presence, Marco ji from Croatia, and Giza ji from Italy. And dear friends and viewers who are watching us from different parts of the world, our topic of panel discussion is Holistic Well-Being, a yogic response to the global health pandemic. World has just seen, suffered, and learned through coronavirus. And we saw how it has shook humanity by and large, and we all have our parts of learning from it. Since the outbreak of corona, yoga and importance of yoga across the planet has increased like anything. And that's why it is contemporarily important to discuss that what can be the yogic response for present and future world global health pandemics. So to begin with, I would like to ask from Marco Biancoji. Marcoji, yoga works at different dimensions. It has something for physical health. It has something for psychological well-being. It has something for spiritual well-being also. Would like to first ask from you, what and how are the principles of yoga can help in physical well-being? Over to you.
Okay, from my experience with my student during the pandemic, we had a very explosive, let's say, joining people in yoga. That's mainly because the pandemic situation is a very particular situation that we haven't had in the world since we know ourselves, because in the other emergency health situation during the past, we were not so connected as we are now. So the global response is completely different than before. We have now internet, we have medias, we have social media. So the spread of the news of the pandemic has a much wider impact than before. And what does this mean? That means that mainly we were aware of the global consciousness and mainly of the... Sorry, I have my small child to the side of me, and I have to cope.
Seems he also wants to share something.
he wants to share something, of course. So mainly what we had to face is the fear, because before having all this media network within us, was every individual have to cope with the situation by itself. But globally, when one feel the fear and many feel the same fear, then it's a global fear coming up. And the fear of death, because it was a deadly dangerous, corona was a deadly dangerous virus. So you know that the fear of that is one of the most the most dangerous fear that we face with. But also, and that is the most important thing, the fear of unknown, because it was an unknown virus. And the fear of unknown is the most very recent study has confirmed that the fear of unknown is the most important fear. Well, I remember my dad passed away very young, but has a very fulfilled life. And when I ask him, what are you fearing now? That you have no more time on the earth, that you will miss your family? I say, no, nothing of that. I don't know where I'm going. So the fear of unknown is always the most powerful fear that we have. And in this case, globally, we have to face this fear. We have to cope with this fear. So yoga, it's amazing, helpfully in facing the fear, because it works mainly on the mind. And if you remember that the most important text on yoga is the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutra is all about the mind and the connection with the individual with its mind. And we have to just few words. We have to remember that Patanjali say that only the mind coming out from meditation is the mind free from karma. Other mind are programmed. And so we all are programmed. And since we are not able to leave this program and finally through meditation, through yoga, find our own mind, then we are not able to cope with something like these global fears as we have.
Thank you, Marco Biancoji. He mentioned about abhinivesha and the fear of unknown, and he said that meditation can be one of the strong tools. Now we'll go to Amandioji. Amandioji, let's develop a plan for our audience who are watching us. How can yogic or Vedantic practices can be an antidote for coming and future coming such global health challenges? What practices of yoga would you think can help people to be more strong physically?
Namaste, dear all. Thank you for this invitation. Global, and it's very important. We know that the current moment that we live in the planet is very difficult. We are responsible for the decline in the quality of life. We have problems like pandemic, pollution, planetary warming. And during the COVID-19, from the Zoom, I did the yoga classes oriented with Ayurveda, with the heat that the people can do, because we have the longevity as the finality of the life. Yoga and the asanas are very important because they give us the strong immunity that we must have to our nervous system and then our mental. We are warriors in yoga, especially doing Hatha yoga, but we are the yogis of silence and the ahimsa, no violence, which is more difficult. The ambassador says something very important for this moment that the planet is living, our world is living. And from the breathing, the pranayama, and someone says, talking about Hatha Yoga Pradipika, we must put that practice in our daily life with the sutras of Patanjali. Then we can be a strong health and a resistance to all aggressivity that we do ourselves and we do to the planet, and the nature cannot give us the condition that we have a good life. Namaste. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much, Amandioji. Very crisp, specific, and impactful. You mentioned that pranayama, teachings of Hatha Yoga Pratipika, and Ayurveda should be brought into life, and it will improve our immune system. Gizaji, you have been working in this field for decades now. what are the things from the perspective of yoga that you would like to suggest to our audience to strengthen their physical body? You are muted, Gizaji. You are muted, Gizaji. You may like to unmute. Click
Yes.
on unmute. Yes, now it's okay.
Yes, sorry. Can you repeat, please?
My question is, you have been in yoga for 2 decades around. What practices of yoga sadhana would you like to suggest to our audience so that they can have more fulfilling and strong physical body?
Yes, I think in my experience as a teacher during the pandemic, I have seen how the use of yoga, which I had already included in my teaching, was seen as essential even by the students. And the students asked above all in that period for sequences of asanas and yoga nidra, feeling the need to move and to relax. Yoga allows you to practice beneficial activities using an extremely small space, such as that of mat, allowing everyone enough space to do it at home. And Yoga Nidra has been a valid tool to eliminate states of anxiety and allowing us to sleep better at night, both for children and adults. Furthermore, thanks to the fifth yama aparigraha or no grade, free lessons and courses have often been held so as to reach and support people from all economic and social groups. In fact, I have also seen good participation during the free online lessons for adults. The use of video lessons has also led to a spreading of the practice of yoga, which states of anxiety, fear, and anger are managed were exacerbated during the pandemic. I think that it was very important to relax the people because they were very stressed and with panic attacks. So Yoga Nidra was wonderful in that moment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You mentioned yoga nidra, asana, compassion, meditation, and importance of yamas and niyamas. When you mentioned about yamas and niyamas, I'll go to our friend Vijay Reddy ji. Vijay Reddy ji, you are a student of Vedanta, and Vedanta talks a lot about mind management. During pandemic times, what were you telling to your mind and the mind of the people around you so that it can help them to have a more strong mind to deal with that fearsome situation?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the yoga method, these are very holistic, which means that it works through the combination of the asanas, the pranayama, the mindfulness, and most importantly, the ethical guidelines, right? And so one of the yoga principle that is aparigraha, for example, it helps to develop coping skill. That apagriha is the non-attachment, it's non-possessiveness, taking minimal to ourselves, that is. So this can help develop individuals develop coping with a loss of control often felt during the crisis, either COVID or life crisis, in any situation for that matter. And similarly, the other yoga principle, ahimsa, that is non-violence, for example, it promotes compassion towards oneself and others. This can inspire kindness, empathy towards those affected, that is. So non-violence means it's not only in action, but is also in words, how not to hurt others, and also in thinking even, right? Not to develop that is a harmful thoughts. It also hurts the self, actually, whoever generated this kind of thoughts, right? So developing this kind of aparigraha, ahimsa, and the other yamas and niyamas certainly can help other people develop the skills, the coping skills, so that you can put up in these very difficult situations.
Thank you very much. Vijay Reddy ji gave emphasis to some of the important yamas and niyamas, as he mentioned about aparigraha, minimalism, non-possessiveness, ahimsa, and ability to cultivate right thoughts. Marco Bianco ji, is it that easy to cultivate right thoughts in difficult times? When times go wrong, how can I think right? Can you suggest us some methods which work for you or which work for the people around you during those difficult times? How to think straight when things are going straight?
Yes. Try to work directly on our mind is not really possible. So if we want to stop a thought, we are not thinking, stop this thought. We have to work with other tools that are connected with the mind. And I think that the breath work here is playing a very important role. The mind is also connected with the emotions, and the breath is directly connected with emotions. So when we have fear, we breathe in a particular way. When we meditate, we breathe in a completely other way. So actually, when we meditate, the breath almost stops. And when the breath stops, also the thoughts are stopping. So it's very important to learn how to breathe correctly. And here the pranayama work is very important. There are many different techniques. And the people have a disposition, something that is very broad and very, in a way, complex, but very easy to practice. So to start with practice pranayama is very important during this time when the mind is not able to be stopped with other tools that are common tools that people has not at disposition. But with pranayama, I think is the best way now to calm our mind, and then it's of course a very important tool of yoga.
Thank you very much, Marco ji. I think the child behind you has started doing pranayama already, Brahmari pranayama. So nice to see that he's already engaged in our discussion. So, as Marco Bianco ji mentioned about breath work is an important tool because mind and breath are twins. If you can't control your mind, at least start with your breath and it will help you to control. Amandyo ji, you also mentioned about many techniques mentioned in Ayurveda and techniques mentioned in Yoga Sutra. What are the techniques which work for you for mind control, mind management? It may come from any discipline which you would like to suggest to our audience.
Thank you. There are the experience can tell us because yoga is an holistic based health. We can know the effect of what we hit in the mind. It's called prabhava. And then we know that when we have one of the nostrils working, that they change the mind, they change our way of action and our way of thinking. Then when we do the state of meditation, after all the 8 branches of yoga, Astanga yoga, that can step by step until that we unite in samadhi, this movement, we can, I tell to my people that in a little class of 1 hour, at the end, we are different from the beginning, as we want or not, because the nervous system and the breathing change it. And then we can observe that our mind, that what can happen in the mind, we can observe without aggressivity and without fear, as Marco says. And the fear is the very important, that the breath can help, and the good hit what we hit, it's very important. Thank you again.
Thank you. So Amandyo ji just wanted to ask a counter question. If I'm stressed, which nostril should I breathe from?
If I'm stressed, the left.
If I'm in stress, which nostril you suggest I should try to breathe from?
In stress, the left nostril. Because it works as the pacifies the Chandra energy prana, and then we pacify.
Thank you
And
very
if you
much.
want to, if you are sleeping too much, you try Suryananda, the nostril, the right nostril, to wake up, and for yourself and for the others.
Get up, go for right nostril. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Patanjali and Hatha Yoga Pradipika says it.
Thank you.
It works.
Fine. Giza ji,
Because I
Huh?
do it in my yoga therapy sections. Namaste.
So Amandioji mentioned if you are stressed, go for left nostril breathing. It will pacify you with your Chandra Nadi getting active. So Giza ji, you mentioned Yoga Nidra. Would you like to mention a couple of more tips how to be more balanced in the mind when I face adversity?
I think that in Yoga Nidra, with Yoga Nidra, we can relax our mind and we can contribute to become a resilience in our state of mind because it can it can with Yoga Nidra we can relax the mind and we have to understand that we can use it in every time we are stressed or we are in trouble, we are worried of something, and so we can use it with resilience in other times, in other ways.
Thank you. Thank you, Vizaji. As you mentioned that Yoga Nidra can be used for relaxing and it can increase resilience also. Vijayji, from physical to mental, and the highest realm of being is spiritual being. As they say, we are not human beings having spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings having human experience. You are a student of Vedanta. What are the Vedantic methods would you like to suggest to our audience for their spiritual elevation?
Absolutely. I can share from my experience, self-reflection probably the most important. The looking into our own thoughts, our own actions. When the thoughts develop in our mind, where exactly they're developing from. And once the thought developed, how we are reacting to that. For example, we just discussed the non-violence. So I can reflect my own action, for example, how a particular action hurt other people, right? And then see what limitation within myself that triggered that kind of action that hurt other people, that is. Then I can relate to other people when hurt me. That helps me to develop some compassion for other people. Then there's some kind of kindness for other people. So what the end result of this self-reflection is that it automatically gives a position where you're able to excuse them, that you could forgive them, and it has since it has the basis of my own self-reflection of my own actions. This becomes an automatic process. This not even act of act actually an egoistic act, that is. It becomes an automatic process, that is. Yeah, I think self-reflection is probably the most powerful technique one should adopt.
Thank you very
actually.
much,
Yeah.
Vijayji. As you mentioned that Swadhyaya or self-reflection leads to observation of thoughts, actions, identifying your triggers, and leads to forgiveness, and finally it can become automatic way we live. Marco Bianco ji, as Reddy ji shared one of his techniques to be spiritually elevated. Tell me one of your techniques We discussed about the mental calmness, mental peace. But the purpose of life is not only to remain mentally peaceful. We really want to elevate ourselves to higher spiritual realities also, and being peaceful is one of the path towards it. One tip from you to the audience, how to be spiritually elevated. What do you do for yourself or others?
Yes, of course, here we have to ground ourselves in yoga and meditation, and it's the basic practice that I'm doing every morning, and meditation also in the evening. So we have these two part of our life dedicated to our, let's say, spiritual practice, but also physical practice and mental practice. And once we are grounded in then we have more awareness. And with more awareness, we can lower our ego. That's the most important thing for spiritual elevation. So we are constantly facing our fears and our needings and coping with other people, and we feel offended, and we feel in the way we feel during our daily life when we enhance our ego. But when we lower our ego, then everything becomes fine.
Right.
No matter where we live, who we are facing, what we are doing, we are completely fine. So yoga is the most important tool to lower the ego. And once the ego is lower, then it's a
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marco Bianco ji. Amandio ji, in next 30 seconds, as we are wrapping up, what kind of meditation you work, which works for you to lower the ego?
It's easy. It's just to be attentive to the breathing, what the nostril is working in that time, if they are equals, and the work of the mind. If the thoughts come, we have to strong the breathing, and we're going to make a game between mind to pacify and to be empty the lungs slowly, and especially the breathing out without stress. It comes slowly, that the mind stays in pratyahara, the minimum that we can have. It's a pratyahara. Then maybe is the way that I can transmit to the people, because I don't know what they do after the classes. They are workers. They have people to do a lot of things. They are not monks in the cathedral, something like that. So I have to put the person that the day-to-day life must be the meditation that we can have to what the things that we are doing.
Thank you.
Namaste.
You mentioned importance of pratyahara. Giza ji, in 30 seconds, any quick tip that you would like to give to our audience right now, which they can do right now, start doing right now?
To like? I don't. Sorry.
Any practical tip that you want to give to our audience? Any suggestion that you would like to give to our audience to do from now?
Yes, I think that is necessary to use yoga and to introduce it in the school, in public school, in every part of the world, from childhood to teenagers, because they necessity of this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yoga should be introduced to the schools and early childhood. Vijayji, in 30 seconds, one more suggestion. You last time spoke about Swadhyaya. Any other particular suggestion you would like to give? 30 seconds.
Yeah, other one is that I would like to must find 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes, sit quietly in their own favorite place every single day. This practice of just simply sitting for 10 minutes every day, quietly, focusing on whatever they are interested in, any object of their interest, could tremendously transform one's life. That I can say that based on my own experience, I can say that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, respected guests from all different parts of the world. We have people from 3 continents seated over here right now. Audience who are watching and who will be watching us from all 6 continents. We discussed upon how during difficult times, yoga can respond to the global health pandemic. Marco Biancoji said that Abhinivesha is a big fear, it is a big klesha, and meditation and mind management is the way out. He mentioned about the importance of breath work. Whenever mind gets defocused, start focusing on your breath. Whenever you fear, whenever you meditate, breath operates differently. So pranayama is a strong method. He said that being grounded is very much important. Be aware of your actions all day long. Which are the actions which are pro-ego and which are the actions which are making you humble. When you become aware of it, it really helps you. Amandioji said that go for Ayurveda. Because when you follow Ayurveda, it increases your immune system. He mentioned about importance of pranayama. He first told us to follow Hatha Yoga Pradipika. He said whenever you are stressed, breathe from your left nostril, because Chandra Nadi will make you pacify. She said that it is very much important for us to follow Pratyahara. Sit in a quietude place, withdraw your senses, it will help you. Gizaji said Yog Nidra is a strong method. Asanas, yamas and niyamas. Compassion meditation, it increases resilience and makes you relax. Yoga should be introduced in schools and early childhood. Vijayji said that mindfulness is very much important. Ethical guidelines of yamas and niyamas like aparigraha, minimalism, non-possession, ahimsa, empathy, kindness, compassion, these are very, very much important. He said that thinking pattern has to be observed because thinking should be helpful, not hurtful. For that, he suggested for self-reflection that will, by reflecting on your thoughts, actions, identifying what are your triggers, and gradually it becomes automatic process you live, and that leads to forgiveness. He said 10 minutes of quietude daily is must, because when you pray, God listens. When we pray, God listens. Yeah, we listen to the God, but when we are in quietude, we listen. When we pray, God listens. We listen to the God, but when we are in quiet, we listen to the God. So sit back in the quietude and listen to the God. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Namaste.
Thank you very much.
Namaste.
Yes.
Namaste. Thank you, Paul.
I'm feeling grateful to welcome our next guest, who is spraying love in all directions and awakening people for realizing the true meaning of inner peace. She is Ms. Amy Bless You, Mahamandleshwar Pandit Yoga Charani Swami Gayatri Devi. She's a Yoga Paripurna School Master and UPF Ambassador for Peace recognized by UN, received honorary doctorate by Techno India University, and elected as advisor of this university. In 2010, she received the F. Gandhi Simplicity Award at the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial in New Delhi, India. Amy Bless You is patron of the Women International Network Award for Peace and Non-Violence and member forever of the World Peace Development and Research Foundation India. In Italy, she is member of Seta Mondo Association Board of Directors, Milan Department of Culture, and contact person for the Rights and Equal Opportunity section. She is founder and spiritual guide in Milan of Suryananda Ashram, president of the World Community of IC and TD of CUIDY, official Italian Confederation of Yoga, and the International Yoga Confederation of Delhi. Co-founder and ambassador of the World Movement of Yoga and Ayurveda. During the last 20 years, she has published her experiences in 12 books. So please welcome Ms. Amy Bless You.
Most welcome, Amy ji. We are glad that we will listen to you again. And the topic is women's spirituality, rediscovering divine feminine energy. Who can justify with this topic more than you? Most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Pranam. I would like to take about the feminine energy and its spirituality, and make understand that the elevated aspect of this concept. It isn't easy to explain why women have to carry a very heavy baggage. The fear that men have of women power. Women have a great and powerful energy due precisely to the fact of being women, mother, and pillars of the family. Energy that they must have for the fact of being a woman, matrix of life. Women also perceive the meaning of yoga. Talking about a spiritual aspect is giving more space, more breadth to the intrinsic meaning of the same word yoga, which means union. So I will explain how important the feminine spiritual energy is, that unites and doesn't divide. It is embarrassing for me as a woman to explain the importance of the women and the essence of the value of women. But I have received this request and I will try to take the opportunity to explain the true feminine value. My story in yoga begins from more than half a century ago. At the time, it was rare to find a yoga school, but there were a guru who mostly came from India, who teaching yoga, the union with the supreme self. Now, instead, yoga is proposed in every place of the planet, and there are more women who practice it. Unfortunately, the greatest attention is dedicated to physical yoga and sometimes even to gymnastic competition. I personally don't like very much the gymnastic concept of yoga, but if you try to think, for example, that this exclusively physical practice that could have also an important action that work on the body to silence it. It can be, at the end, a good practice too, which is sometimes used to avoid the disturb of the mind. It is difficult to try to make the point on the spirituality, even if now, in the last half century, yoga has involved the female gender, as also in this argument. The woman, spiritually in yoga, is deeply connected to their intrinsic nature, to their ability of connection and intuition, their empathy and sensitivity to the natural cycle of life. It is a path that inspires authenticity and expression of the self, allowing women to explore and embrace their powerful inner strength and their ancestral wisdom, even if reach deep spiritual level is an individual and subjective process. Yogic tradition and practice offer tools and paths that can facilitate and support this spiritual search. I believe that the feminine approach is very important. Women are the most involved in the family, and the spirituality of yoga is a great value that changes life for the better and also become a good teaching for the whole family. And here the woman, I see her as a guardian of life, as a spiritual and cultural rule that contributes to maintaining the basis of society and transmitting culture, tradition, and great values to future generations right from birth. Women should be recognized as a messenger, having a high value that isn't only procreation, but also the ability to be polyedric, because as a woman, she has to think about many things at the same time. And the man is more direct, but less complex. In fact, a man's brain is more analytic than a woman's, and they think in separate compartments. The two hemispheres of women's communicate with each other. Also because women must to have a natural ability to move between various roles and responsibilities, often simultaneously. This multitasking ability is rooted in the deep awareness and an innate connection with the cycle of life. It isn't just about managing together and about entire network of relationship, emotions, and growth processes, both personal and collective. Women have a unique ability to create it and maintain sacred space, physical and emotional, and in eternal present. The transcendence of time is a fundamental concept for understanding a full and filled spiritual life. This way of seeing and experiencing time is like us opening to higher awareness and deeper connection with spirituality. It comes naturally to women to recognize that the true purpose of a spiritual practice isn't only to refine one's status in the world, which would also be very important and useful, and also to transcend the limitation imposed by time, by the moment, and improve the entire world itself by better habits and even refine the society. And the women have accepted the beauty of being a woman and not try to be a man. A sage told about women when wanting to be a man, it is best a woman. In the Shiva cosmic Tandava dance, in competition to the Lasya dance of his wife Parvati Shakti, Shiva performed a position that required lifting this leg very high, a posture known as Urdhva Tandava. When it was Parvati's turn, she decided not to replicate that posture. Despite she was a divine dancer of equal skill as Shiva, she declined from lifting her legs high to maintain her sense of feminine grace. So she preferred to lose the competition. This story is often cited to illustrate the balance between strength and grace, destruction and creation, masculine and feminine. In short, welcoming and accepting one's nature for a woman is very important. She is always in connection with nature and also knows how to act. Let's now see a little history that describes the woman as a matrix of life. Feminine spirituality is a path of rediscovering and reconnection with the powerful energy of Shakti, a concept that contains an intrinsic power present in every woman. It is a spiritual journey that often leads to the rediscovery a peculiar aspect of being a woman, and ever more so when she is a matrix of life. You have to remember it. This value have long been second place in history, as have, among others, the intuitive wisdom, creativity, compassion, and the inner strength of Shakti, which presents the creative principle of the universe. If we went back to the origin of Indian culture, it was Aditi, the primordial mother, the infinite and eternal, the energy that gives life, that nourishes and transforms. Aditi is the power that penetrates an entire universe without form, without limits. Her nature is pure existence and awareness, and that goes beyond space and time. Aditi creates the sky, the house, which is the first act of manifestation that helped to create the diversity. Aditi could only create another herself, but the multiplicity of form is due to the union of the two equal and different principles, Aditi and the house. The feminine energetic power implies a return to the primordial roots, is the symbol of the great Mother Earth and the sacredness of the feminine, present in many spiritual traditions of the planet. Honoring the Shakti, the woman, means recognizing her power and can happen through the exploration in oneself and one's energy, and acquiring a deep compassion and love for all, a peculiar nature of feminine. Rediscovering the divine feminine energy is a journey toward one's most authentic essence, a process of awakening the power that every woman possesses inside. Through the conscious spiritual practice of yoga, it is possible to have access to this energy and experience it fully and harmoniously. Feminine spirituality invites us to celebrate our nature, our innate wisdom, our ability for transformation and creation, of which the woman, Aditi, the creator, is the main architect. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you very much, respected Amiji. You nicely summed up, and it was empowering to listen to you about feminine power. You did absolute justice. You mentioned about the woman should not try to be like man. They should uphold, embrace their own femininity. You also mentioned about Shiva's and Parvati, the story that they had, and how Parvati gracefully modified things in her own way. You mentioned that the strength and grace can go together, male and female goes together, destruction, creation, they have their own identity. You also said that Aditi is the primordial mother of all, and embracing our own femininity is the journey towards our most important essence. Thank you very much, Amiji.
I was naughty, sorry.
You are amazing. Thank you.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Emmy Blessio for sharing her views. Thank you so much, ma'am. Today we also have with us our esteemed guest, Ms. Andrey Lappa. She has started to practice yoga in 2015. She started Yoga Center in Lugano, Switzerland in 2013, and in 2014 she started to offer masters for teachers in pre- and postnatal yoga. She deepened her knowledge of Ashtanga Vinayasa Yoga with Swami Manju Joyce, David Stevenson, and Mark Roberts. In 2018, she started an Anusara teacher's training with S.K. Fisher. She also had an intensive meditation program with Andre Boni, Yoga Therapeutic Wisdom with Doc Keller, study of Bhagavad Gita with Mil Mahoney, Restorative Yoga with Anna Ashby. In 2021, has the honor of being assigned to the Swiss representative of the international organization, the European Yoga Federation.
Good morning.
Namaste. Good morning, Amiji, Andrey Lappa ji. Most welcome on the platform of United Consciousness. All stage is yours.
Thank you very much for this invitation. And I would like to have a simple meditation because last month I had the opportunity to go in a really spiritual place that the name is Arunachala. Is a mountain where a lot of saints and yogi guru meditate inside some cave. The last one was Ramana Maharishi, and I had the opportunity to meditate inside this cave, a cave that is, let's say, 1 meter for 1 meter. And what came up to my mind is that this saint, this yogi master, spent the main part of their life inside this small cave, and they reach the eternal happiness. Eternal happiness. What we do when we would like to be happy? We choose a vacation, we would like to meet family, we would like to eat something good, and all these external things. But the happiness is inside us. So, what's to say, Ramana Maharishi? Say that when you do these external things, for some moments, for instance, you lose your ego, you lose your attachment, you just be in the moment without any thoughts, without any desire, and so the treasury that you have inside came up, that is the peace and happiness. And when you start to have a desire and ego and all this stuff, this treasury close inside you. So now with this meditation, we would like to go inside us to find this treasury. It's a simple meditation connected with our body, this beautiful manifestation of our being or our soul. So take a comfortable seat and open up side by side your buttocks, straighten your column, your back, and be sure that your head and your sacrum are in line. And then you can also put your hands on the top of your thigh and give a nice stretch of your body, and then relax completely. You can hold the mudra, and I suggest you the Jnana mudra, the mudra of knowledge, to waking up our internal knowledge, our internal consciousness. So Index finger and thumb together, straighten the other fingers and put on your thigh, on your knee. And then slowly close your eyes and start to inhabit your body. So not just close your eyes, but also inhabit your body. Feel your body. Feel your foot that touch the ground. Feel your legs. Feel your body, your shoulders, your arms. Feel your head. Be your body. And as soon as you inhabit your body, imagine to have a pen and to design your body starting from the top of your head, going down slowly. Design the profile of your body with an imaginary pen. Go slowly in each curve, in each side. As soon as you design your body, you are more awake of your body, of your skin that cover your body, and start to soften your skin. Like your skin would like to hug your internal muscles. Relax your skin like it would like to hug, embrace your internal muscles. Then relax your muscles like they would like to hug your bones, your internal bones. Relax your muscles as they would like to hug your internal bones. Relax your bones like they would like to go in the middle of the bones. And then feel the internal, inside body, the subtotal body, like it is like water that moves inside your body. Feel your internal body, inner body, subtotal body, prana body. Feel your internal body like it is water that moves smooth in all internal body. Now feel like a column of lights of prana that is in the middle of your body, from the top of your head to your pelvis. Feel this column of lights and feel that the prana, the inner body of this column, with the inhalation go down from the top of the head to the pelvis, and with the exhalation go up from the pelvis to the top of the head. Your breath is soft, smooth, equal, like it is a stream of oil that you are inhaling and exhaling. And feel this column of lights when you breathe in from the top of the head to the pelvis floor. And when you exhale from the pelvic floor to the top of the head. Now stop in the middle of this column of lights in your heart. Go deep inside your heart and feel that is in the middle of this column of your body, and feel like this spiritual heart is on the back of your body, close to the back of your body, at the level of sternum, at the level of like it is on the top of the diaphragm, back, close to the back of your body. Go deep inside this place of spiritual heart, a place of peace, a place of emptiness, a place where time, space, shape disappear. And believe that in the inner spiritual heart, from the peace came up the happiness that spring from there in the full body, in the full life, in your mind, body, emotion, soul. In this place, you are protected from all what's happened outside. feel the peace and the happiness that spread out from the spiritual heart. And if your mind go around, don't worry. Feel like it is a friend that you invite again inside your body, and you invite again to relax your skin, your muscle, your bones inside your body. You feel the energy inside your prana moving. You feel the column of lights from the top of the head to the pelvic floor. And when you inhale, and from the pelvic floor to the head when you exhale. And then stop in the middle to your heart and go back, close to your back, your column, in the middle of your sternum. And feel the place of your inner spiritual heart, a place of peace, and where from this peace the happiness spread out. Feel like you are breathing happiness, breathing peace. There is no other place where you need to be. And from that place, maintain the peace and the happiness that came up. And start to move outside. So from the inner body, feel the energy that go to your bones. And from the bones to the muscles. And from the muscles to the skin. Breathe deeply and start to come outside and open your eyes. And let's finish with the free Om. Put your hands in Namaste Mudra and in Namaste.
Namaste. May I invite Swamiji and other guests from the Federation to thank Eddie Bampa ji. Thank you very much. We have Emi ji here. We have Baba Adnan ji. We have
Molto tesa, io te l'ho scritto subito quando
thank you very much. Amandio ji is here. Thank you, Iji ji.
Thank you very much to everybody and for this organization.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of United Consciousness,
may I request all the guests to be here to welcome Baba Adnan ji after his proper introduction. Thank you very much.
On behalf of United Consciousness, I thank Ms. Eddie Bampa for coming onto the platform of United Consciousness. Our next guest is Yogi Baba Adnan Ananda Siddhi Viho Kabuk from Turkey. The cultural richness of his homeland nourished his soul and his life journey through matching the logical aspects of the Occident with the emotional aspects of the Orient. He attended many training programs and learning yoga from various teachers, healers, gurus and masters all over India and in the Far East. In 1996, he started to teach yoga in Istanbul and founded a yoga school which he named after one of his gurus, Siddha Ashram Yoga Center. He has his ashram in the Taurus Mountains of Alanaya and Antalya, Turkey, where he teaches classical spiritual yoga. Other than teacher training programs, he also hosts yoga purification camps in his ashram. He has his autobiography by the name Without Disturbing the Silence, The Life Adventure of a Mesopotamian Yogi, published in 2008.
Namaste, Dr. Vikrant. Nice to see you again.
Non lo dice adesso a Vikram.
Virendra has joined us to welcome you.
Thank you to all. Sending my regards and love to everyone, all our brothers and sisters. I can see Sukadev there. I can see.
Bampaji has joined us to welcome you here.
Wonderful to see you. I am here in south of Turkey, as you know, in the Yoga Retreat Center, which we are a sanctuary actually. We call it Yoga Purification Camp. And we just sent one group away from here. They were in the retreat and they were very happy to be here. We can see the difference, how they develop in their life. They changed, they moved completely, and they went to, they opened a new window in their mind and heart when they left the place. And that was really what we meant. And this is the target of the retreat of Yoga Purification Camp. Thank God we're achieving that with a sincere work. Now, the idea of the retreats and sanctuaries for me is that it started in early ages when man started to think and ask himself after he found his food and shelter, he was in comfort, then he started to hear his inner voice. Who am I, where I'm coming from, and why I'm here, and where I'm going? Those questions which appear in most of the man's heart from time to time. So most of the men who get this message, they were so involved in worldly life, so they just passed it away and didn't think anymore about it. But some of the men were a courageous man, brave man, who were more adventurous character. They went on to this idea that I want to find out what is this life about and who am I. So they went up to the mountain in India, to the Himalayas and other places, also to lakes, near the lakes, rivers, but mostly we talk about the sadhus and the rishis in India. They went to the mountain first, but they didn't know what they were doing. They just went to keep their mind about thinking, what is this life about? So when they went to the mountain, there was very little food. They couldn't find hardly food. Sometimes, maybe from the village, a little rice. The air was pure, completely clean air with all the oxygen, and there was nobody to speak to. And the water was from the waterfall, so it was a complete purification retreat for them, and they didn't think about it. So by staying there in meditation, thinking, and cleaning their system without knowing they were cleaning it, the whole bodies, the 7 centers, the chakras, the 3 main body, the physical, mental, and energy body, after they've been so clean by years of purification in that condition of life, naturally Shakti start to wake up and go up, and they reach Kundalini awakening because they were purified and they didn't know what was happening. When this happened and they they reached the the universal consciousness, from personal to universal consciousness. They reached the knowledge and they realized who they were. After that, when they become we call them rishis at that time, And the people heard about this master, that this man knows everything, or he is very special person, wisdom, who has a lot of wisdom. We better go and stay with him and learn about the wisdom of life. So when they get permission from the master, they can stay with him for some times. And that was the first Gurukula system born. So they started as a Gurukula system, but it was really the retreats. There was a yoga retreat center, but it was a Gurukula system at that time. And by the time, involving all this seeking and realizing, and so of course, also Ayurveda system born. By seeking after health and staying in retreat centers, man start to realize that he need to purify his physical body from the beginning. So the Ayurveda was born. And then the retreats and sanctuary centers start to born slowly around India and other places. But first, it was the idea that people will seek to be quiet, to be able to be alone. So there was nobody to involve in their mind, because when a person is in complete sanctuary in a retreat, usually there is no people to talk to. I'm talking about the first time of the rishis in the mountain. There's nobody to talk to. There's no time to gossip to somebody. There's no gossiping. So the mind was completely free. The mind became so empty, so they were so purified. So the energy body, so the physical body, and that was the big chance for Shakti to be awakened. So from that time, life continues. And then in the world today, in modern time, most of the people, of course, because we are more visual, man went on more physical life, ordinary man. So the physical centers arrived, like detox center. We call them detox center. So people like to detox their body to become healthier. So many detox centers appeared, which was okay and good, because we need people to be physically healthy also. But that is not enough, of course. Now we realize that for man to be healthy, he has to be completely healthy in the 7 bodies, all the shaktas, but mainly mental, physical, and energy body. We call 3 bodies sometimes, has to be purified. For that purpose, now as we realize that the ashrams, in fact, ashrams are a perfect retreat center and sanctuary places for purification. Because if there is no purification in all the bodies, man cannot reach enlightenment. So now, luckily, there's a lot of ashrams in the world, from India, from other countries, any country, all the countries have ashrams now. And all the ashrams are actually yoga purification camps. They are retreats, they are sanctuaries, because this is the aim of man, to purify, to understand, to realize, to be aware of life, and to know who he is. So the perfect sanctuaries and retreat center for me is ashrams. So that's why I keep telling my students, the best life for man today is ashram life. So if you have time, go and stay in one ashram, and when you want to change the mood or the master or the place, go to another ashram. But travel for a while from ashram to ashram and see the differences and see in you what is suitable for you, to realize who you are, what tendency you are, for what type of believing or not believing, but ashram, like is it bhakti, is it jnana, is it karma, which way is more suitable for you, and continue to go on that path, and that you will be more awakened, you will be more realized. So really the best sanctuaries and retreat centers are ashram today. And today, of course, as I am mentioning from the beginning, that now I am in the a small mini ashram, we call it here, Siddha Ashram. It is a real sanctuary, real yoga retreat. It is completely what we are mentioning, and that is the best way of reaching spirituality and go to inner peace, to renew inner peace. So, and also, because the whole world now has so much information, by online internet and so on. And people are all traveling a lot. There are many people on the path, which is the first time in the history, because in the past there was one master here, maybe one master there or there. But now there is millions of people, if not millions, but maybe thousands of people on the path seeking about who they are and what is the secret of life. And thank God, this can bring our new age, because we are still in Kali Yuga, and there is dark forces ruling the world, as we all know. And the only way that we can press the dark forces and bring the light up to the society, to the world, to the life, that we can expand all the number of the people, the seekers in the world. So we need more retreat centers, and particularly yoga retreat centers, sanctuaries, which we are, all of us, involved in, meditation centers, and etc. And this is the only hope I see for the world. I went to Ankara some years back and talked to one official person, and I mentioned to him that yoga should enter the schools, because if it enters the schools, the children will grow with understanding that the whole world is one home, is one temple, and every nation is sisters and brothers, and all the religions are also sisters, brothers. So there's no differences, there's no separation. So it has to go into the schools, because no religion teaches that. All the religion teaches, I am better than you, my God is better than your God. So, but only yoga say that everything is one, most of the time. Also in Sufism, there is also this philosophy that everything is one. And al-haq, they say, the Sufis. But as scientifically speaking, yoga has put on the paper practically as a sign. It is proof that it is good for every part of the body. It is a perfect system. So if it is in the schools in the world, there will be no war anymore. There will be no hate anymore. There will be no so much opposition centers, countries fighting each other. Rather, they will all help each other. And it is actually right now is emergency case. I am looking at that we are in emergency period of time. We have to expand more retreat centers, sanctuaries for renewal of the spiritual life for of the whole world. It is needed so much, and we have to work on it more than before. And of course, right now also we are doing it here with Madame Lourdes and me in this small mini ashram, but it needs to be more expanded to the world, to the schools, to get this open-minded that everything is one, and that the best school is the retreat center. The best school is the yoga purification camp. These are the schools of life, but spiritual schools of life. So we are putting all our work, energy on this matter, and I have a big hope, because hope is the only reason. Without hope, there's no life. We always have to have hope. And I have a lot of hope, because I see many beautiful people coming every day here, and they realize, they understand, and they go and they affect their family. Like when the students come here, they open their mind, because they have to. We give them a vegetarian diet, and we talk about the unity of life and unity of people. We talk about all spiritual matters, and we practice every day, twice at least, yoga and meditation. And we are so involved, and without realizing, because they eat healthy food, the oxygen is very high, and clean water. They are not allowed to gossip. They are not allowed to speak loud. They are not to be angry to each other. So by this discipline, actually, without realizing, they come to that, what we are trying to give them. And when they live like a new person, mentally, spiritually, and in their heart. And physically, they become healthy. Now, that's not only them. When they go, we give them the responsibility. We tell them, you are responsible because now you know. When man doesn't know, he has no responsibility. But because you now know, you have a great responsibility. You are not only responsible of your own life, you are responsible of your all surrounding people around you, your family, your partners, your children, the area people. You have to try to help these people, to teach them as much as possible what you have understood. So this will spread around the world. You cannot keep this knowledge for yourself, that you know something. You have responsibility now. You are a servant for life. You are a servant of humanity. So thank God it was quite well. Actually, we don't take hundreds of students each time, but we take 20, 15, 20, because we have a small ashram. But all these people, 15, 20 people, when they go home, they become hundreds because they're surrounding. And we hear that they tell us, now I talk to my mother, I talk to my father, we changed the diet in the house. And we have better relation because they follow us what we do, and because they see that we are becoming a better person in our activities and talk and thinking, they start to follow us because we become better. So they say, there's something there. Because the child, the son, the daughter who went to the retreat center of the camp, of the ashram, they return as a better human being. So they affect them. This is the only way. If we are better, if we become better, if we are good, the all surrounding get affected, because nothing is separate. Everything is touching each other. We all affect each other. When we smile, the people around us smile. When we cry, the people around us feel to cry. It is automatic because we are all one. Nothing is separate. With two eyes, maybe we think that we are just this body and that body and that body. But in reality, it is a whole big body. The universe is a whole body. It's just one body, and we are the cell. Each of us is one cell of the body. So whatever we think, it affects the whole universe, all our heart, how we feel with love, it affects all the universe. If we are angry and hateful, it affects. So we have responsibility to give love, affection, compassion, care, and our duty to serve. And this is the best place to learn. Actually, the yoga retreat centers, the ashram, as I have understood. Thank you, Dr. Vikram.
Thank you very much. A better place than ashram itself to talk about yoga retreats are the century for spiritual renewal and inner peace. I have visited Turkey. I have visited you. I know how Siddha Ashram is serving the community. Thank you very much for taking us through that experience also. Thank you very much. And I request Babaji to be here for some time and to join us in the conclusive ceremony of this European Yoga Federation International Week of Peace celebration. May I request Swamiji? We have Swamiji, of President of European Yoga Federation. We have Sukadev ji. We have E.D. Bampaji. So Swamiji, over to you. Let's conclude it with some mantras so that we all will chant one mantra each for the peace of the world.
The mantra that I like so much, please. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, mrityormamritam gamaya, lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu, sarve gnana sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Namaste. Thank you so much to all for your presence here. Thank you.
May I request Yogi Baba Adnan for any mantra that you would chant for global peace and happiness?
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Suh to the world, peace to the world, love to the whole humanity.
Thank you, Baba Adnanji. May I request Idi Bampaji also to chant a mantra for global peace.
It's a mantra of fullness that we have inside and outside the entire world. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamavevashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, EDG. May I request MEG to chant a mantra for global peace in this closing ceremony? Any mantra comes to your mind, MEG? Please unmute and chant a mantra for global peace. Please unmute, MEG. MEG, you may need to unmute. Unmute.
Okay. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om.
Now, as a closing mantras, Sukadev ji, over to you. Chant mantras and we'll formally close the ceremony of European Yoga Federation Peace Week.
Om Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Triambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti. We got Amandio ji also finally. Amandio ji, one mantra from your side for global peace. Any mantra for global peace you would like to share?
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Giza ji, any mantra you would chant for global peace?
Oops. Asatoma Sargamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much, audience watching us from different parts of the world. Here from European Yoga Federation and United Consciousness, we thank all of you to be a part of this wonderful journey. Looking forward to meet all of you in Ujjain on February 14th, 15th, and 16th. All of you are heartily invited. We'll be very happy to host you. Please make your plans to visit Ujjain for physical event of this global celebration of peace. United Consciousness International Week of Peace will be physically celebrated in Ujjain on 14th, 15th, and 16th of February 2025. You're most welcome. Please make your plans and let us know. Thank you very much. Om Shanti.
Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Shanti.